Oh, guess what, Mighty? We still not done. I know, because there's some more episodes on the way, so I was had to able to get this over and done with before we're done with this Let's Play for reals. So, yeah, anyway, hey, what's up everybody? It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm Mighty the Armadillo here. We are back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Wario Master of Disguise, or, in Japan, Phantom Thief Wario D7 for the Nintendo DS. So, last time we've completed the longest episode we have ever done throughout the entire Let's Play, which is episode 10. This is because I've filled the brim with a lot of confusion, a lot of mushroom switches we need to keep activating for, and on top of all that stuff though, controls keeps messing us up, and on top of that, well, at least the final boss is alright, except for the second phase, just because it feels a bit luck-based in my opinion. But today, I think suffice to say, I think we'll decide able to change the plan slightly for the sake of the forms of, well, as you probably no doubt by now, that today this will be the, well, supposedly, the final video for Wario Master of Disguise for the Nintendo DS Let's Play, because let me tell you, by the entire portion of this entire recording session, since the very beginning of November, I was absolutely bored and tired of this game already. So because of this though, I just want to move on to the next game in terms of the Wario platformer games. So, anywho though, so today, we're going to be hit on to one of the 5 parts of these special episodes. So, despite it might not be very exciting though, because let me tell you, they're all basically just reskinned versions of the already existed episodes in the past. Like, for example, here we go on to special episode part 1, where basically though we see Count Cannonoi within 2 variants of him for the sake of the bottom screen portion before you start the level. And by the way, if you ever play the Japanese version on any other like special episode levels, basically though, both of those Count Cannonoi will be replaced by, I would say like a pearl shapes or something like that. It's never explained of why that's there, but regardless of such though, that might be something worth noting for, because if you couldn't tell already, that we're going back onto the episode 1 portion of the entire game, or specifically the first stage of the game, but except this time we actually have ourselves 8 different rules. Like, for example, on the top screen as you can see right there, basically we do need to find one of the 3 treasures that can be very well hidden throughout the whole level. So in some cases though, it does kind of reminds me of time attack mode from the likes of Wario Land 3, except this time around though we have to deal with awkward controls and all that stuff. So as to be expected, nothing special for the sake of time. But on the other hand, if you do manage able to stumble across the treasure chest like so, basically we still need to come across into very hard versions of such mini-games like we used to, ever since in episode 10, despite the fact that I haven't been able to take control of it this time, because I know for a fact that we obviously always have to take turns for take control of the actual game itself or something like that. It's like I'm still gonna have to deal with the actual awkward Wicked Wario transformation shape, and also utilize the microphone to let him fly and stuff like that. So, yeah, I was thinking about the same thing as far as this is concerned, while I'm going to be focusing on certain discussions to make. So as you can see, certain treasures are most likely more valuable than the likes of how it does it on the previous treasures that we've actually gone through. So, it might be a best opportunity for you if you're really curious to see what the actual 100% completion is all about. But I'm going to tell you right off the bat though, is the fact that the reason why that this will be the definition of the final video throughout the majority of this Let's Play, because let me tell you, we were originally going to be able to actually decide able to go for this entire 100% completion file, like for instance getting all the treasures, you know, encounter every enemy in the game within the actual scrapbook. And let me tell you right off the bat though, you won't be missing a goddamn thing. So basically though, what this happens to be, that it's not gonna happen for the sake of not only all the enemies on this entire gallery, but also every single treasures to obtain. So because of that though, I just want to able to move on, because aside from all that stuff though, the only rewards you do get if you get every single treasures, including every single enemies you've defeated on the actual likely put it into your scrapbook and stuff like that. And on top of that, if you earn yourself the highest title, if you do manage able to collect a whole bunch of money and stuff like that, I think the highest you can get up to is like, I would say 870,000 pounds or something like that, depending on what region you lived in. Well, basically though, it's bragging rights. Aside from 2 other statues you can probably get, or to be more specifically though, is the fact that, wow, I honestly, I've got nothing more to add around here. It's just that, well, we're very glad that we're actually getting all the way to the very end of this game, luckily. So, in some cases though, and as you can see on screen, on the actual top screen, on that little red number font, as you tell, basically you also have to worry about the time limit, because if you ever let the time run out, you have to do the entire level all over again. And on top of that, if you did die in a level, you also restart the level too. So this means that these stages, unlike the previous 10, don't have any save points or checkpoints whatsoever. They're just the entire marathons. So in some cases though, if you have been struggling with the forms of some terrible, yeah, I was bored. Yeah, I will agree with you there, Wario, because this game just simply bores us. So, tremendously bored us ourselves at this point, so...
Congratulations!
Although you're still able to actually access to more money and stuff like that for how much time you've got left, but either way though, it's just for mind of its own thing, I suppose, but either way though, that's probably saying something, I suppose. And also, something's worth mentioning is the fact that today's date is of course the 28th of November today, in this case in 2022 today, that, well, we naturally only got about 3 more days to go until December rolls around. So, yeah, it should be pretty exciting, all things considered. Especially noticeable, we just cannot wait until, you know, Christmas is about to roll around. Oh yeah, by the way, something I forgot to mention about something is that if you're getting sick of the forms of seeing that particular cinematic cutscene right there, before you dive right into the next level and stuff like that, thankfully you can able to actually skip that sequence by simply pressing the start button. So in some cases though, yeah, that's something we honestly forgot to mention about that, despite the fact that we just want to able to just move along, and especially noticeable about the fact that, wow, relatively speaking, we've only got about 4 more levels left. Yeah, because let me tell you, Sonic, I honestly agree with you about the fact that hopefully we'll move on to better games in the future, especially noticeable because we just want to get this very clunky game out of the way for ourselves, so... yeah, I can honestly agree with that. So, in some cases though, here we go on to special episode part 2, where this is basically based off from episode 4, where basically we're going to be exploring through the icy caverns. The only areas you can't explore into for revisiting sake of parts is that you can't able to actually revisit into, I would say episode 2, 3, 5, and especially noticeable with, I would say episode 8 and 9, if I recall correctly. Well, mind you, I don't usually remember this game all that much though, so because of that though, forgive us about might be forgotten something around here, but that's besides the point. Besides that, Mighty's gonna be able to just do a lot of hard work because, well, again, we're getting very close towards the end now, so because of that though, we just want to move on. So, as we said countless amount of times already, so as you can tell, since that Mighty is going to be constantly going to be using him, Wicked Wario a whole lot for certain levels throughout, there's only one level exception to this though, but I'm guessing it's because until in one of those later parts, that it does require you to be able to deal with a lot of exploration in underwater for submarine. So that'll be, for some explanations until for later. So, yeah, for Wicked Wario right there, you can just simply skip certain good portions throughout the majority of the levels themselves, despite it's still finicky to able to draw the specific shape, because obviously it matches the same transformation shape as in, well, Dragon Wario, but that's besides the point, so So anyways, a few things we want to explain for this point today is the fact that apparently though, one thing I honestly forgot to mention about, and that is the fact that Frozen 2, the most, I don't know what you're about to expect for able to actually know about that, because I know it has been quite a few days since I actually last seen Frozen 2, but apparently Frozen 2 has been out for 3 years now, since 2019, so yeah, kudos to its 3rd year anniversary of this another popular film franchise as far as I'm aware, or something like that. Mind you, it has been a very long while since I, again, last seen Frozen 2 and the original Frozen, but exponentially, we're also able to watch the original Frozen film until at specifically the next couple of days or so, because obviously Christmas is getting very close, so relatively speaking, no, there's not much else I can add around here. Oh, and another thing I would like to mention too, is the fact that recently Atari is going to be able to announce there's going to be Atari Recharged Collection 1 and 2 physical version releases has just recently announced. I'm not exactly sure if I found out for this entire information about it, but all I know is what it is the fact that we're glad able to see the physical compilation games based off from Atari games has been going to be announced on the Nintendo Switch. I'm not exactly sure about the other console versions of the game, like PlayStation 4, 5, or and you know what I mean, Xbox series of consoles as far as I'm aware. But I'm sure I'll explain more about it until whenever hopefully, we can able to actually just let, although, kind of think about it, I'm pretty sure I might as well let, Tiana will mention more about it until when she goes back onto WarioWare Touched, eventually, by that time until in every Tuesdays and Thursdays, continuously. So in some cases though, yeah, there's not much else you can say about it. Oh god, not this again. I'm sure I might as well get this though, because obviously this shape is going to be pretty easy, despite there's a bit of a random pattern with that stupid lasers and stuff like that. Honestly, I think this particular minigame is the hardest of the bunch, just because, well, if you accidentally touch the laser, well, basically though, you'll be out straight away. And it doesn't help about the fact that if you failed one of these treasures, you waste time, and because of this though, you need to be perfect in any other like, special episode parts, because not only do you need to be perfect on any of these, but also, as you can tell, if you do manage to complete one of those treasure challenges and stuff like that, that also means that you would be able to actually extend your time limit. So yeah, allow Sonic to explain more details on that. So yeah, basically what this means though is the fact that not only do you have to worry about the time limit, but also you need to rush this as well. Like, for example, if we get into the true final stage in a game, this means you have to rush this, and on top of that, you need to be perfect in every single treasures imaginable. So imagine this, right? If you made one little mistake on any other treasures for that department, basically you have to redo this entire process all over again. Filled to the brim with like purple treasures you still need to active, and on top of that, well, there's a lot of emphasis on trial and error, and on top of that, a lot of frustration, especially noticeable with this stupid slippery ice little path right there. But regardless of such though, I don't know about you, but this particular stage on this ice cavern environment music, it does sound kind of reminds me of like a Paper Mario kind of music vibe to it. I know it sounds awfully close to Paper Mario, but I'm guessing might as well able to think about the similar vibes or something, but except the fact it's been made by a, you know, a different publisher or a different developer for the sake of time, so... And believe me, when it comes to doing every other special episodes, as far as I'm aware, can take a lot of hours to do. Especially noticeable because you have to be perfect in almost every single way imaginable. And again, as I mentioned this before, not able to complete this specific stuff though, well, you just have to master it basically. So yeah, I think that basically takes care of the forms of, well, part 2 of special episode right here. I think what the special episode's meaning for exactly though, is it does remind me of one of those what if scenarios from Dragon Ball Z stuff. Well, specifically the video games department, because I know for a fact that Dragon Ball Z Budokai does manage to contain what-if scenarios, and same applies with Budokai Tenkaichi 1, and I think possibly 2 and 3 as well, or any other Dragon Ball Z games for this matter though, at least as far as I've heard about it, but relatively speaking, no, there's not much else to say about this for this point right here, so... Anyway, the next thing we would like to mention is the fact that, oh, we get something rewarding by reaching certain amount of money we got. So in some cases though, we've got ourselves the, well, the next title. So in some cases though, that was definitely the best way you can able to actually get the remaining statues. But honestly, the different color statues though you get seems kind of worthless in my opinion. Although we did manage to get one just recently, which appears to be Wario with this little fancy hat, which kind of feels a bit similar shape, as in Count Kanonoi. That basically though is the fact that, except the fact it's all green color, as far as I'm aware, as you see on the top portion of that particular top screen, despite the fact that it's a weird recording session. So in some cases though, at least we got one of those special Wario statues. So anyways, let's move on to part 3, where basically it takes place into... Oh no, not this level. Not this level again! Oh, this is based off from episode 6, isn't it? With all this ruined structure, and on top of that, well thankfully though, unlike any forms of how it does on the regular levels, that basically there aren't any boss fights to be fight. So, relatively speaking, all you have to do is basically you have to find 3 of those red chests. They do manage to contain valuable treasures more than ever. So, relatively speaking though, I do like this approach I guess. But that doesn't excuse the fact that you have to still have to cope with this awkward control scheme. And on top of that, you have to memorize every single layout for the entire map itself. But I digress. The next thing I want to mention, while Mighty is still going to be able to get the hang of this though, that is the fact that recently, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have sold over 10 million copies worldwide within the first 3 days. So, it's quite impressive all things considered, especially notable because that was actually the next generation of Pokemon after all, like, you know, Generation 9 and stuff like that. So as a result though, at the very least that's something that's usually entirely positive about the forms of Generation 9 counterparts of Pokemon games in general, but that doesn't excuse the fact that there's going to be a lot of performance and glitches issues has been addressed for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, sadly, because apart from those side of things though, that's yeah, that's what I can say about it. But let's get to the forms of the real meat of the table, especially noticeable about the fact that, well, as you've probably doubted by now, that recently we've actually got ourselves our, well, release date for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC Wave 3. So in some cases though, it's going to be releasing until the 7th of December this year, which is roughly exactly the same time as in the 4th year anniversary of the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So in some cases though, still really excited able to actually play DLC Wave 3 for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because I know for a fact that the last time I played that game was actually back in when DLC Wave 2 was released. And since then, I think it's about 4 months ago since I actually last played the game, because usually I just have managed able to recently just get all 3 star rankings in each cup. So in some cases though, you know, with the Turnip Cup and the Propeller Cup, as far as I'm usually tell for this point. So, wow, you're almost gonna get screwed over right there, Mighty, even though you've managed able to gotta figure it out. Despite the fact that, relatively speaking though, they might be still difficult as it goes by, especially noticeable with that, oh, you know what I mean, with the drawing minigame, they have to dodge lasers and stuff like that, non-stop and stuff like that, and it's just, it's not very fun in my opinion with all that, you know, frustration alike, so... But thankfully, relatively speaking though, certain levels are pretty short, especially noticeable despite their reskin versions of the already existed levels in the past. But aside from all that stuff though, at least you might get the hang of the actual, like, the movements and stuff like that, and also you still need to be able to obtain certain keys every once in a while in order to progress, so... Yeah, I think relatively speaking though, despite you only have 1 try to do this though, for able to accomplish like you know, certain stuff like this, so yeah, that might be saying something. And by the way, if you're too slow on that part, you have to go back and then just, well, you need to be perfect in every way imaginable for accomplishing levels like this, despite, you know, it's just a reskin versions of the already existed levels, you know? Oh god, this again! I think to me though, out of all the actual mini-games of this game actually offers us to, like you said before, Mighty, you did have a lot of frustration on this mini-game, as you tell. But the thing is though, it's actually getting very old very fast, and especially noticeable because, well, I've got nothing more to say about this, honestly, so... Anyway, so let's get into the forms of that particular, the tracks has been listed for the sake of the forms of, well, between both Rock Cup and the Moon Cup has been confirmed for the actual track selections. So in some cases though, we got, first off for Rock Cup, we actually got, that one track based off from Mario Kart Tour, which appears to be London Loop, which is pretty obvious that that track is actually based off from England in United Kingdom for the sake of the London, because, you know, London is actually a pretty nice town to explore for the UK audiences and stuff like that. And yeah, it's nice to see London Loop in HD and stuff like that. So yeah, that might be saying something. So, and the next track they actually include is the forms of GBA bootleg, because from what I can tell, back in forms have been sometime in August or something like that. I do remember the fact that I did look up on the rumors, despite the fact that I still don't trust rumors as much, that apparently though, they did somehow manage able to get one of those leaks correct. Well, it's actually a tough choice back in the day between both Bootleg and Broken Pier, because they both tracks come from, you know, Super Circuit as far as I'm aware, but they do manage able to share the exactly the same theming as far as, you know, track theming as far as I'm concerned, with all that, you know, haunted theme and all that stuff. But the biggest differences being is, of course, a different background, because as far as I'm aware, in Bootleg, they obviously includes the actual, the mansion background, alongside with the forms of tons of boos, hovering around in the actual track. And on top of that, in Broken Pier, all it shows is basically it's like a creepy face on that little mountainside. And that's pretty much about it. And, yeah, it's nice to see, Bootleg is gonna make its return for not only well, for Mario Kart Tour, from ever since in the, sometime in the Halloween tour at some form or another. Yeah, I was originally going to be able to try and mention something more about the forms of Mario Kart Tour today, but of course I'll save that more about it until, or save that conversation until, let's just say sometime in this Wednesday, in the final day of November. So in some cases though, yeah, we can pretty much expect what's going to be up next for, you know, uploading schedules alike, so... Although, thankfully, though, I stumbled across a dot-to-dot minigame, because I think, to me, though, the dot-to-dot minigame is actually overall pretty easy when you manage able to get the memorization going. So in some cases, though, we can simply just... Oh, shoot. I messed it up, didn't I? But thankfully, though, you still get, like, a few caps left, despite the fact that you have to able to be fast on this, so... There we go. Part 3 is completed, and only 2 more levels to go, because let me tell you, oh man, we just cannot wait until we get this game finished and done and over with, so... Anyway, yeah, the next track they did revealed, and that is the fact that, well, first of all, before I get into the more details on that, what I found out on, by the way, if the time actually runs out, basically you don't get any money, and if you come across into a treasure minigame, luckily the time itself does not run out until you either failed the minigame, or in some cases though, it's hard to explain. So anyway, as far as for the bootleg, as far as I'm aware, that track is obviously based around from, well, obviously since Mario Kart Super Circuit, but the actual layout itself is actually based off of Mario Kart Tour, where basically not only does it reveal the underwater segments here and there, but also is the fact that, well, in terms of the forms of the actual dynamic view, And on top of all that stuff, there's only one exception to this though, and that is the fact that obviously Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of that particular track will now include the anti-gravity segment, which I'm pretty sure is going to be used in underwater. So, speaking of underwater though, for part 4, I think we might able to actually explore onto this, the familiar environment based off from episode 7, where I'm pretty sure you still need to able to get that specific suit, not able to progress, because if you, go for this level without any suits whatsoever, then you will die and you have to redo the entire level again, so... But again, no checkpoints, no safe spots, so you have to do this in the entire one marathon of the levels, so... Yeah, it's a bit, convoluted to say things like that, but honestly, we just want to get this done, so... Anyway, though, yeah, that's all I can say about that. The next track they did, reveal for the Rock Cup, which appears to be 3DS Rock Mountain, based off from Mario Kart 7, or in some cases in the European version, they managed able to rename it into Alpine Pass. So much like the forms of most of those tracks based off from Mario Kart 7, they obviously have to do renames from the sake of the forms of the British audiences to American audiences. So yeah, that seems a little bit more subtle, I guess. And for what I've seen, the actual track is now in HD. It's alright. I mean, sure, the track itself looks awesome, don't get me wrong. But I will admit though, much like the forms of Toad Circuit though, it just feels a bit weird with all that visual style and stuff like that. Although, the only new thing they do include is of course the anti-gravity segment at the very end of the track, while you're trying to dodge these little boulders or rocks or anything else like that. And on top of that, you're now able to actually come across into yourselves these more boost panels for the actual anti-gravity section, and that's pretty much about it when it comes to the actual one of those changes in between not only Mario Kart 7 version of that track, but also Mario Kart Tour version as well, because yes, they obviously based off from the likes of, or heavily borrowed from the Tour version because of its visual style and all that stuff, but I don't think it doesn't gonna bother us at all, I don't think, so, but it might bother some people though, so I'm gonna say that right now. And the last track they did revealed for the Rock Cup is, surprisingly enough, which I was expecting it might actually bring back Waluigi Stadium somewhere, based off from some rumors, but apparently one of those rumors for suggests Waluigi Stadium is incorrect, because instead, it's actually Maple Treeway from Mario Kart Wii. So, yeah, I'm very pleased to be able to see that track makes its return for Maple Treeway, because let me tell you, Maple Treeway is awesome, especially notable because I really love the aesthetics about the entire track, and on top of that, it is such a blast to play, for not only in the original version back in, Mario Kart Wii, but also returning portion in Mario Kart 7, and heck, even recently Mario Kart Tour, despite controls is kind of problematic in Mario Kart Tour. So I'm very pleased to see Maple Treeway does make its return in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, within this time in gorgeous HD, and even especially noticeable with much more better controls than he falls of how it does it in Tour, at least in my opinion though anyway. So, yeah. Suffice to say, pretty good selection all in all, but that doesn't even compare to is probably is by far the most hyped cup in the entire DLC up to this point right now. That's what appears to be the Moon Cup. So, first off, in terms of tracks department, we got, for Mario Kart Tour, we actually have 2 of these tracks based off of Mario Kart Tour. One of them is pretty obviously is the forms of, now we've already heard about the forms of both of those tracks returning, which there are not only Merry Mountain based off of Mario Kart Tour because of the forms of Christmas themed, but it's also because of the reason why it did say December the 7th, because obviously Christmas is approaching. And on top of that, Peach Gardens based off from Mario Kart DS, which I know for the fact that it's now going to be on Moon Cup, because I was expecting it was going to be on Rock Cup somewhere, but it's been moved into Moon Cup instead, so I guess that's fine for me. So, yeah, in terms of other 2 tracks that have been returning, one of them is based off from Mario Kart Tour, and one of them is also from Mario Kart 7 as well. So, in some cases though, we got ourselves, Berlin Byways, which I'm pretty sure is actually based off from the Germany city or something like that. Mind you, it has been a very long time since I actually seen that track in action. Since Junior Forms have been, I would say the last time I'm experiencing one of those, Berlin Byways tracks was actually based off from, since Junior Forms have been summered this year, that we've actually come across into Metropolitan Tour. Ever since whenever I managed able to play that tour when I was on holiday in Cyprus, for that matter. So in some cases though, it's the fact that, relatively speaking though, that it seems pretty cool to see that track in HD and stuff like that. And finally, well, oh, and the second track it obviously includes is, like I mentioned this before, Peach Gardens based off from, you know, Mario Kart DS, so it's nice to see that particular track in HD and stuff like that. And also with this massive graphical overhaul in comparison to not only the DS counterpart, but also since in Mario Kart Wii. So in some cases though, I'm very looking forward to that track. And on top of that, Merry Mountain is afterwards, or Merry Mountain was actually, surprisingly enough, on the 3rd track, so I guess that probably explains it how. And the 4th and the final track they did revealed for not only for Wave 3, well, in terms of the 8 tracks we were able to include for that wave, but also the final track that's located in the forms of Moon Cup, and that will surprise a lot of people, and it is especially noticeable, include myself, that actually gives not only everyone else excited for it, but also myself as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present you our 4th Rainbow Road in the entire Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as far as, you know, Rainbow Road's tracking, but also is based off from one of the best incarnations of the forms of Rainbow Roads by far, which, yes, 3DS Rainbow Road has gonna make its well, it already becomes a thing in Moon Cup. So in some cases though, yeah, that got me very excited for that particular track, especially not only because it contains gorgeous visuals, but also I'm very, very excited able to replay that track again, but this time on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as the game itself. So in some cases though, I am very hyped about the forms of 3DS Rainbow Road again. So except this time with, you know, gorgeous visuals. And I'm sure enough it will do exactly the same thing as the forms of not only the original counterparts since in Mario Kart 7, but also in Mario Kart Tour. They'll divide it into 3 sections, so in some cases though, not much else changed in terms of lap variety. So in some cases though, I'm still perfectly fine with that. So in some cases though, I am so hyped about the forms of the Moon Cup right now, especially they now finally include, you know, 3DS Rainbow Road based off of Mario Kart 7. In this case though, in my opinion, the best Rainbow Road in the entire Mario Kart game series. So up to this point right now, that we've actually got ourselves about roughly, well, 4 of those different Rainbow Road counterparts of, well, Mario Kart 7 as a result. So yeah, I'm very pleased to see that, especially noticeable because I am totally excited for these, you know, playing different incarnations of Rainbow Road. I suppose that, relatively speaking, Almighty, is the fact that we've only exactly got 4 left, which we have, the remaining ones are the GPA Rainbow Road based off from Super Circuit, GCN based off from Mario Kart Double Dash for Rainbow Road, DS Rainbow Road based off of Mario Kart DS, and finally Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. So that will make the entire complete package when it comes to Rainbow Road tracks alike. Because let me tell you, I will have to agree with you for this point, Mighty, is the fact that you know how the fact that with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still doing so well for its sales numbers, I think this will easily be the case for the sake of the forms of likely also for the fact that everyone else is going to enjoy the game even more thanks to forms of DLC content and all that stuff. Although aside from missing characters though, but that's besides the point, the tracks is all that usually matters for us anyway, so... And for the record though, I think that basically does it for the first half of the DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. So in some cases though, 3 packs are down, and only another 3 left. So in some cases, the other 3 or the other half of the Boost Course Pass will be strictly onto 2023 for sure. So in some cases though, I think it might go and see exactly the same trend as in this year. Like, I think Wave 4 will be on sometime in spring, and possibly Wave 5 will be on during summer or something like that. And finally, Wave 6 will be, as always, by the end of 2023 or something like that. But we shall see until when 2023 happens. So yeah, that might be seems potential. So as you can see, we've got ourselves another title for our, you know, grabbing certain amount of gold or anything else like that. So, and as you can see, we've now got ourselves the bronze statue. So, I think the only 2 statues we've got left, which are the silver statue and the gold statue, which, let me tell you right off the bat though, is just about the fact that, well, thankfully, we've only got 1 more stage left until we're done with this godforsaken game. But aside from all that stuff though, we did manage to explain some positive receptions to this. Well, aside from some bit of control problems, as far as you guys who probably already know. But as a result, we are definitely getting there. So anyway, so let's move on to the true final level in the whole entire game, which is Special Episode Part 5. And I can see what this is going, what the actual environment takes place. So in some cases though, this chapter again. So this means we have to do a continuous mushroom switch pressing kind of stuff once again, except now you have a strict time limit. So in some cases though, this is what I mean when it comes to this level right here. We need to rush this, because otherwise, if you let the time run out, or even if you die, you have to do you need to redo the entire stage again. So yeah, to win this stage, you do need to rush this, which you have very bad luck with it at all throughout the entire portion of Chapter 10, or should I say Episode 10, for my cases anyway. So yeah, best of luck for this point, Mighty, because you seriously gonna need it for a lot of concentration and all that stuff. Thanks, bro. So anyways though, you still need able to actually go for this entire, you know, green mushroom switches and stuff like that. But I will say, thankfully you don't need to worry about the forms of the red gem anymore, because all you have to really do is to find certain spots for certain treasures. So yeah, that's a bit of improvement as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff. Well, it still might be felt a bit too lengthy for my taste though, but best of luck for Mighty the Armadillo, because Mighty the Armadillo is the coolest guy in the world. Oh, thank you so much, Sonic, for able to say something to me. Yeah, especially noticeable, I'm still very appreciated you do manage to join in with the Maxi Toys department, because, you know, you're still cool. Even though it's kind of a shame that he only appeared in, only 3 games so far for your lifespan for you, Mighty, because you only appeared in the arcade game, and on top of that, Knuckles Chaotix and Sonic Mania Plus, and aside from that, you haven't brought back since 4 years ago. Oh, wait a second, that reminds me that until next year, both you, Mighty, and Ray the Flying Squirrel were able to expect to become, I would say, 30 years until next year. Oh, really? That means we're able to celebrate me and Ray's 30th birthday next year? Well, possibly so, because either way though, actually I'll let you focusing on that Wicked Wario thing first before you say something towards it though. Oh yeah, that'll be amazing, especially noticeable. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be up next for Sonic, despite the fact that, well, remember how the fact that we've already discussed this ever since in, you know, in Episode 10. Oh yeah, with the forms of, Yuji Naka, that he sadly just got, arrested thanks to forms of that particular Square Enix's decisions or something. Well, I haven't exactly explained all that well for that particular topic though, because, you know, let me tell you, I'm still excited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Wave 3 is definitely coming, so, and I predicted that date correct by the way, because I did manage to able to say at some point in December, but I say it correctly. So because obviously because Merry Mountain was actually a Christmas-themed track, so it makes a little bit more sense to able to release it during December. So yeah, kudos to that. So, but unfortunately though, we stumbled across one of those random, bad news to discuss, and that is the fact that, well, do you guys even remember that horror movie for the sake of the films of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? Well, despite I had never actually watched it in my life, especially noticeable, I'm just gonna skip that for now. But on top of that, apparently though, another one of those Disney-themed horror movies called, well, I'm not exactly sure what it's gonna called yet, but apparently though, it could be something more based off from Bambi of all things. That apparently Bambi is gonna get himself, the horror film based off from a children's story is in development. So, things gets a lot more crazy these days, especially noticeable where, I don't know about you, but I'm just speechless when it comes to likely seeing that little, artifact for, you know what I mean. Although, we're not exactly sure if it's going to be real or fake, but either way though, my predictions on that particular artifact I just looked it up from, it might be potentially be fake, because, well, I've got nothing more to add, because it just comes out of nowhere. So anyways, looks like you're doing pretty well there, Mighty, despite the fact that you only got 1 health left. But again, if you die, you have to redo the entire stage all over again, which makes things a lot more tedium involved, and especially noticeable because, well, there's not much else to say. But, yeah, I think that's as far as I can say for this point, guys. It's just about the fact the matter is, though. Oh, and on top of that, only 10 more days to go until the Game Awards is about to be approaching. So in some cases, though, we're not exactly sure what the announcements they could bring us into for, the Game Awards this year. Because I still remember back in the day, back in 2019, I don't suppose if you noticed something, Mighty, but I was so disappointed with the, 2019 Game Awards, because not only, well, at the very least it does have some highlights though, like revealing, you know, Xbox Series X and stuff like that, but there are certain disappointments for the sake of the forms of the Game Awards announcements department, because all they've shown us is the forms of a very rough racing game called Fast and Furious Crossroads. Like, I almost thought to myself by saying that, well, it's been said duty to run out this thing for able to how much disappointing I was for the Game Awards 2019. How do you ask? By asking that gosh darn Fast and Furious game. And, yeah, I have no idea why I'm not able to bring this up. Oh, have you been watching, The Simpsons for, one of those episodes when, you know, both Homer Simpson and, Flanders managed to go into, Las Vegas and stuff like that you, referencing to? Oh, you mean that the actual little bit of dialogue I pointed things out? Yeah, something like that, because I do remember watching that episode. I really enjoyed it, I must admit. Yeah, me too, especially noticeable despite it gets a little bit more of a, well, I don't know about you, because it has been a very long while since I actually watched The Simpsons, since, oh god, that was the day when we had COVID. Oh, don't even bring that up. I know, but let's not mention about that again, because either way though, we're just gonna move on. Because despite the fact that we have to cope with the forms of some even more issues for, around the world at the moment, with all that, you know, Russian war is about to be going, it's like, I don't know about you, but either way though, that's saying goes. Yeah, I'm sorry about the forms of the background noise you almost hearing, Mighty, because, or everyone else out there, I'm pretty sure that, Tiana just got back from her work and stuff like that, or potentially, Jewel was actually just not able to just, pop around to see us, how we're getting on, but then we didn't actually tell them about the fact that we just been super stressed out with playing this godforsaken game. I mean, again, we'll explain more details about our proper final thoughts of this game until whenever we're able to see the actual credit sequences again, after we go for this entire final level again, or to be more specifically, just the true final level in the game anyway, so... And thankfully though, the actual strats as far as what Mighty did somehow pull this off is actually a lot more tolerable than the forms of how it does it from the first time around we got there, in based off from episode 10 anyway. Although despite the fact that he still needs to be able to blow into the microphone while simply transforming into Wicked Wario again. But regardless of such though, I think this is the last time you were able to actually use a Wicked Wario transformation because, well, he basically done utilizing microphones because, well, it wasn't until when Tiana will go back onto WarioWare Touch that she will still able to come across into microphone micro games for sure. So, and relatively speaking, this will be the last time we're going to be seeing those repetitive mini games now because, again, it's just all about repetition for seeing exactly the same minigames over and over again with different stipulations and challenge. So, yeah, farewell to this particular minigame right there. So, because all we really got is just basically just those different colored keys and stuff like that, which that's about it basically. So, there's no point for able to go up there because obviously I get the strong sense of feeling what Mighty is actually going to approach onto is the red door with the actual key lock right there, which actually represents for that he's probably going to go after the final red treasure in this level. So it's a bit lengthy in order able to make your way there. So, which brings us into the final minigame we can show off and to end things off with, this one again. Don't worry, Sonic, I got this. Are you sure about this, Mighty though? Because, well, we're just getting sick of this one right here with all this stupid lasers, and on top of that, it's a lot more random than you ever would think it would be. Okay, that's fine. I'll take one hit, and that's it. I'm done. I'm flipping done with this. Thank God, this game is over. Finally. But anyway, so since we've completed part 5, and, well, not much else to say about this. I think she was trying to say something to us, and every once in a while, she was just busy just, I don't know, text heavy or something like that. I have no idea. But regardless of such, it's over. It's finally done. I don't have to touch this game ever again. Although, there's also some missing treasures and missing enemies that we haven't exactly discovered yet, but let me tell you, you won't be missing a gosh darn thing, so there we go. And I don't think we're able to get ourselves another title for certain rewards or anything, so I think we'll just leave it to that with a simple bronze statue, as long as the forms of how the fact that I just don't really care for the game anymore. So because of that, yeah, we are done, folks. We are done with Wario, Master of Disguise, aka Phantom Thief, Wario D7 for the DS. So, thank God. And let's have a look at the actual final totals, despite the fact that you can't really see the top screen all that well, because, let me tell you, I'm just glad this is done. Yeah, me too, especially noticeable because, well, I think, suffice to say, that we've almost done with the Wario Platformer series, until God knows Nintendo decides to make the next one for the Nintendo Switch, so, but we shall see until next year in 2023, so, yeah, aside from all that stuff though, Mighty though, we're basically done with this game, so 100% completion, nothing else to be at, aside from just bragging rights with all those statues, and I think you get yourselves a special image if you do manage to able to fill up the entire picture book, and on top of all that stuff though, the music doesn't change either if you somehow complete the 100% completion file, and that's about it basically, so yeah, let's give our final thoughts of Wario Master of Disguise for reals this time, by showing you the credits again, except the fact that we can talk about our final thoughts of the game for reals within a good mood this time. Overall, it still is my least favorite Wario platforming games I ever played, although I will say, the visuals can be felt a bit pretty at times, but I will say the sprites look a bit ugly looking, while I will say though, it does kind of remind me of Shadow the Hedgehog when it comes to, well, let's just say this right now, that well, I just got bored of the game so quickly. Like, I do play video games to have a good time, being by myself and even some of the group of friends, but this game in particular offers nothing to me. Like, seriously, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with about the fact that, well, let's just say the gameplay is obnoxious to play, and especially noticeable it gets a bit repetitive with all these mini games you have to put up with, and on top of that, the controls are so finicky. And on top of everything else though, the soundtrack is so dang forgettable with only 3 exceptions, which is the forms of the title screen music, which I found was alright, and then also, the actual, the main menu like TV room or the living room music, or in some cases the credits music, it sounds pretty alright. The only other music I do remember is the minigame music, only because I have to replay that same exact minigames so many flipping times in order able to actually just hear that music. Whilst to me though, this music in this game isn't catchy, whilst in my opinion not well constructed. It just all blends in with all that. Wow, I don't know how to explain this. And the graphics themselves aren't that really impressive either, aside from impressive backgrounds and level theming, but the sprites themselves, I will say, they are extremely weird and ugly looking. So as a result though, yeah, I think this game is easily the weakest Wario platformer games I ever played. Especially noticeable, I highly would not recommend this game. Especially noticeable that if you still have your DS anywhere elsewhere, just skip this game entirely, unless if you're a die-hard Wario platformer fanatic like we do, so. But we still got the physical version just to add it to our collection, I suppose, but either way though, that's about it basically. So, yeah, up next in terms of our Wario series of Let's Plays, up next it will be is none other than Wario Land The Shake Dimension, or Wario Land Shake It for North America for the Wii. So we're really excited about that title though, so yeah, this is me, Sonic the Hedgehog, and me, Mighty Armadillo here, and we'll see you guys at some point in 2023 for, you know what, yeah.